A national anthem. What is it? It is a direct representation of what a nation represents. It symbolizes a nation's history, traditions, and values, taking into account its historical heritage, musical tune, and overall meaning. A national anthem should be a song that truly represents a nation. A tune that when you hear it, you immediately think of that nation. The song that I just played for you was not the Star-Spangled Banner. It was a song called The Battle Hymn of the Republic. Today I will be explaining why the song is the true representation of America, the very soul of American culture and struggle, all brought together in one magnificent masterpiece of a song. It was at one point our national anthem, and it should be our national anthem again. If you've never heard the song in its full length before, listen to it! And then come back to this video. I'll just play, bits and pieces of it. Hold on.
Loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword, his truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him, be jubilant, my feet, for God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Of course, this is just bits and pieces of the song that I thought would be the best for you to hear. If you haven't seen the entirety of the song, once again, go watch it. Like I said, all the 3 clips I've gotten is from this video right here. Amazing video. I have it on my playlist. Go check it out. Now, anyway, where was I? Oh, yes, that's right. Let me explain my reasoning to why this is a better song than the Star-Spangled Banner. I need to give you guys a little history lesson first. Back in the 1800s, America was in the midst of a religious revival known as the Second Great Awakening. An oversimplified explanation of this phenomenon is that people were trying to be more Christian. They believed that they were straying from the Bible. Only if they could see the way things are today. This also happened 50 years earlier with the First Great Awakening, but that's a topic for another time. Anyway, one of these things that they would do here is, sing songs about God. It's the same thing that you would see in church today. This was just one basic building block of the song compared to the Star-Spangled Banner. Which, the Star-Spangled Banner was just some guy looking outside his window and seeing a flag. Anyway, I'll get to that part later, but parts of the song, especially the chorus, the glory, glory, hallelujah, that part, it became popular during these meetings because of these Christian revivalists. Fast forward and John Brown the abolitionist gets popular, you guys know John Brown, the Bleeding Kansas, Raid on Harper's Ferry, all that stuff. So, Union soldiers start singing about his body because, he died, as well as adding more to the song. And one night, this one lady named Julia Ward Howe, I think that's how you pronounce her name, hears soldiers marching one night and mishears and then rewrites the lyrics of the song and becomes the song we know today as the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Now, from this point forward, I will be talking about the true meaning of the song. That being the soul of America. The Battle Hymn of the Republic is a song about both the spiritual conquest and the literal conquest of the West. Without the western frontier, America would be unrecognizable today. Yes, even though it was manifest destiny, which for some reason has some sort of bad stigma to it. What's so bad about conquering a place and making it better? Seriously, the natives were in the Stone Age for years and years and years. We come over and brought modern civilization to them, modern technology and all of its wonders. The ones that embraced it found a better life. But, sorry, I'm getting off topic. But the Battle Hymn of the Republic can be most associated with this image. You've probably seen this image before in school or just in general. I love it. It perfectly depicts America. Americans expanded into eventually to become the greatest nation on earth, with God coming along with us every step of the way. This song perfectly represents that. I will now be going over the song line by line, describing how it fits America as a national anthem. I won't re-explain the verses, so after I say them, if they repeat, I'm just, not going to say them again. That's boring to watch. The first verse. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. This proclaims that we have witnessed God's divine justice at work, the formation of America beating back the largest empire in history, only being able to do so with God by our side. God is metaphorically coming to judge and to bring righteousness, portraying America and the American cause of liberty and freedom as a righteous, God-ordained crusade. The next verse, he is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. As much as I'd like to sing this, it wouldn't sound good. This lyric is a direct reference to, the book of Revelation, specifically 14:19 through 20, where an angel harvests grapes and throws them into the winepress of the wrath of God. This is a metaphor, of course, symbolizing God crushing evil, which America has done time and time again throughout history. The Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War II, etc., etc. The vintage, the grapes, is being trampled as a part of a divine justice, something America has brought down upon the world since its creation. He hath loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. God's judgment is already unfolding. The terrible swift sword is a symbol of God's power to strike quickly and decisively. So you see, it's America and her armies being implied to be God's instrument. The word terrible, of course, means amazing, not evil. His truth is marching on. Truth as defined by divine justice in this sense. The truth that God is being spread wherever America spreads. It was like this until of late. Even though America has freedom of religion, everything in America was built on the basic principles of Christian beliefs. His truth is marching on is a never-ending righteousness that God will bring, and in turn, America has and will continue to spread. And now you get to the best part of the song, the glory, glory, hallelujahs. I love this part so much. It's the most repetitive line within the song, getting louder and louder each time you hear it. But it not only shows only the glory of God, but the glory of this nation. What America has done, what it's been able to do, and what anybody can do within it. This line just emphasizes that more and more each time it is said. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. We see God present in our everyday life, watching over us constantly. The watchfires are a symbolic gesture of that, being God's constantly looking down on us, planning things. It implies that we are all a part of God's plan, and America is as well. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. Essentially, it's, the dedication that you can have to a cause, and to America in turn, which also is a dedication to God. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim-lit flaring lamps. Righteous sentence refers to the divine judgment, a metaphor for moral clarity. His day is marching on. God's appointed day of judgment or justice is approaching. It's more of like, the Revelations part of the song, but it's a reminder that God's will is unfolding, implying victory for righteous America. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. Similar to Revelation 8 through 9, where trumpets signal the divine action. It pretty much symbolizes God's call to action. There's no turning back. It's a divine command. With God on our side, we can never lose. He is sitting out the hearts of the men before his judgment seat. God separating good from evil. And here's another really good line. Our God is marching on. It shifts from, his truth, where they said that previously, to our God. Pretty much making them mean the same thing. Truth and God being the same thing. It's a, Christian-based song. What do you expect? In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea. This refers to the Jesus, nativity scene. I'm sure we're all familiar with it. Him being born in Bethlehem. The next line being, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. Christ's inner glory transforms believers. It's the whole, just come to Jesus and you'll be fine type thing. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free. That is the best line. It's like the hardest line ever written in any piece of music, in my opinion. It's a metaphor for how Jesus died to save everybody on earth from sin, and how America can do the same thing, spreading freedom throughout the world. At the time of the song, like within its reference, it was talking about abolishing slavery, right? Pretty righteous cause if you if you ask me.
while God is marching on. God continues to advance with righteousness and justice no matter how hard it will ever seem. His truth is marching on. This being the final verse, it's kind of like a reaffirmation. God is active, powerful, and present. In history, especially through the struggle of the United States, with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, nothing that any person can do will ever be able to change that. Of course, now that I've gone through the song and kind of interpreted its meaning, from a very Christian perspective, of course, only the first couple of verses would be in our national anthem. The Star Spangled Banner is a whole poem. We just use the first couple of verses because even though of how important it is and how from a retrospective, wow, that's our nation right there. Your average Joe doesn't like standing for like 5 minutes singing before like a baseball game, right? It's good just to take the few verses or a couple good ones and just compile them, and then boom, together, new national anthem. Of course, the biggest issue people have with the song, and probably why it wasn't our national anthem when we decided it in the 1930s, was because of how religious it was, right? The way I've interpreted it and described it to you line by line, I interpret it a little bit more literally, a little bit more, from a Christian perspective, of course, right? And that's how it was originally written, but it can be interpreted in many, many different ways. You could easily interpret it as it being the strength of America. God being the strength, power, and values America brings to the rest of the world. Sure, it has lots of religious lyrics, but that doesn't mean it can't be used. If you're in any school, any public school that is, I'm guessing private schools do it too, but, from kindergarten to 12th grade, you stand up every day and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Every day you stand up and say, one nation under God. That's part of the Pledge of Allegiance. On our money, we have In God We Trust. Religious stuff like that is everywhere. It being in our national anthem doesn't change anything about religious freedom. I have many friends, right? One of my very best ones, my very close friend, he's an atheist, right? And guess what? He likes this song more than I do. Why? Not because of its religious tones, but because he sees the strength of America, how strong it represents our history, and much, much more. He sees the values of America and the history of America through this very song. Now, what the hell does the Star Spangled Banner have to do to fall into, the national anthem category? Sure, it's mildly interesting, but if you look up the Star Spangled Banner, it's about some guy during the War of 1812, the most forgotten American war, looking out some ship that he got captured and seeing the American flag. I mean, it's a cool song, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's our current national anthem. It's a patriotic song nonetheless, don't get me wrong. But compared to the absolute beauty of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, having that as our national anthem instead of the Battle Hymn of the Republic is a national disgrace. It was our unofficial national anthem from the Civil War to 1931, when Congress had way better things to do with the Great Depression and all, but no, we gotta just figure out our national anthem. It's where Congress legally changed it to the Star Spangled Banner, but for the most part, we stopped singing that a long while back. Right when it was written, back in the 1810s, right? But it was just another patriotic song. If you look at the Star Spangled Banner from a musical, instrumental perspective, when you actually go and play the song, it's all over the place. While the Battle Hymn of the Republic has a clear rise and a high point. Anyway, yes, the Star Spangled Banner is a good song, but not good enough to be our national anthem, and not good enough compared to the Battle Hymn. It is because of these reasons and how lackluster the Star Spangled Banner is as an actual national anthem, and how the Battle Hymn of the Republic is an embodiment of the history, cause, and soul of America, I hope I've showed you both religiously and even secularly why our own national anthem should be changed to the Battle Hymn of the Republic. But, you can go deep into anything and overcomplicate it and overthink it. That's what Game Theory did for the entirety of his channel. But at the end of the day, it's just a way better sounding song than the Star Spangled Banner. Hello! I am the Right Wing Lutheran. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please like and subscribe. I've been putting a lot of effort into my videos, and no one's watching them. So the subreddit comment would really mean a lot. Anyway, thank you for watching.